I guess the brain, the way the brain works is neurons that fire together, wire together. Anything that gets repeated again and again and again, our brain just picks it up, right? That's what the whole entire advertising industry is operated around. So we can't blame ourselves, we can't blame our brains, but that's conditioning. And the way to change this conditioning is just now to expose our brains. If the same brains, if my brain, all my friends' brains, if our brains had been seeing lots of women in white coats, lots of women as scientists, then there would be different mental models that would have automatically formed in our brains, right? So let's bring the same analogy now here for a leader. Now, for way too long, for way too many years, what's been broadcast on the TV, in the news, in newspapers, and places have been male images associated with leaders and certain forms of leadership, right? Certain personalities, certain forms of, ways of doing it, doing, being, speaking, dressing, showing up, walking, as a leader. And those are just mental models, that's all. And that's what they're also stereotypes, and they need to be changed. But these stereotypes have gone into our subconscious mind. They've gone into the collective subconscious mind. And there are two ways to change the wiring that's there in the subconscious mind. One is, of course, calling it out and pattern interrupting, right? Interrupting the pattern again and again and again and again, which we are doing, which we'll keep doing. And I'm glad for, events like Women's Days. However, people might have objections, but whatever, I think every pattern interrupt in the subconscious, in the unconscious pattern is needed to call it out. And then the second way to actually is to put in these new images, right? Put in these new images of leaders, the visuals, the experiences, the examples, the role models, and have enough of them so that the broad narrative in everyone's heads about this is how a leader talks, this is how a leader walks, this is how a leader smiles, this is a leader does this, a leader can't giggle or a leader can't be kind, right? So as a prof, I had to break a lot of these stereotypes, for example. So I giggle, and it took a while for my students to get comfortable with it. And there was a time when I really tried to suppress my personality and my way of talking and my way of dressing. But I have to be like a prof because, as an example, when I just started teaching in Bangalore, and this is 15 years ago, so I'm even younger, and not that I'm very young, whatever. So think of a very younger version of me. And I was waiting outside a class to go and take my class. And, the classroom boys and all, they say, no, professor's there. I'm like, no, I'm the professor. And it would happen so many times that I walk in and everyone's still waiting for the professor to come because they've just assumed I'm some kind of an assistant or someone who's come to prepare the spaces because I didn't walk, I didn't dress, I didn't talk, I didn't look like a professor. And that happened till, of course, I started, delivering the content. So it's been a journey, and eventually there was a time. So, for example, so I've given 3 TED Talks, and people joke about it a lot because I've shown up in very different ways. In the first way, you'll see me with this very big red bindi and a kurta. And that was a time in my life where I was really trying to play with a certain kind of authority, showing up as a certain kind of leader, which I genuinely am not. That's not my natural style, but I was trying it because I thought that's the way to make the connection and be seen. But eventually, as I kept working with myself, I started. So in my second one, I'm wearing a dress. And in my third one, I'm even more, if I may use the word, carefree. And I'm doing this deliberately because remember the inspiration and the role model. I want young girls now to know that you can be a prof who giggles and laughs and shows up as herself. You can be a leader in the way that you want to do. So